A federal judge has denied Sean Diddy Combs' efforts to delay the start of his upcoming sex trafficking trial. The music mogul appeared in court today. His legal team wanted to push the trial start date by 2 months, saying they needed more time to prepare because of new charges filed earlier this month. Combs has pleaded not guilty to all federal counts, including racketeering, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. His trial is set to begin May 5th. Let's bring in CBS News legal reporter Katrina Coffin, who is outside the courthouse. Katrina, why did the judge deny Combs' bid to delay the trial, and what else happened in court?
Combs is being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. And get this, guys, the food there is the roughest part of his stay, according to his defense team.
Lindsay, great to join you. The judge denied this immediately when we got into court today. What he said to Combs' attorneys is, well, for one, this request came very last minute. This trial is supposed to start in weeks. We're supposed to begin jury selection soon, and that he thinks that they have sufficient time to prepare. He even made the point, Lindsay, that it's unclear to him why Combs can't prepare when he has 4 different law firms working on his case.
So we are covering this live hearing that is happening downtown in federal court in Manhattan regarding Sean Diddy Combs. There was a hearing, short hearing between the prosecution, the defense, and the judge regarding evidence, regarding discovery in this case, and it seems it's progressing its way towards a May 5th, 2025 trial date, but I'm not going to talk about it myself. I want to bring on Elizabeth Milner, who is actually in that courthouse for us. Elizabeth, so good to see you. So 2 things for you. A, if you could briefly describe what the scene looked like, and more specifically, what did you observe of Sean Combs, who was in that courtroom? And B, what happened in court? What were the big takeaways?
The world was stunned when news broke about Diddy's son facing a life sentence. From a life of luxury and power to now standing at the edge of a prison cell, how did things go so terribly wrong? Today we break down the shocking story and explore what's really going down behind the scenes.
That because no company wants to do business with somebody who is being accused, have allegations against them for sexual misconduct and deviant behavior. Nobody wants to do business with that. All the shareholders, it ain't nothing that he's giving up. They're like, yo, listen, give me that. They said, they did a Diddy. Take that.
Once the symbol of success and wealth, Diddy's empire is now on the verge of collapse. His son, once thought to be his heir, is now facing life behind bars. What went wrong? Let's take a closer look at the case that has captured the attention of the world. The court case began with allegations so severe that the courtroom felt the weight of the decision before the gavel even fell. RICO charges, sex trafficking, and much more. This is a scandal that's gone far deeper than anyone anticipated.
There are criminal charges filed not only against the defendant, but also against the person who is his friend or supporter who does threaten a witness. And that was the case in the R. Kelly criminal case as well.
In a third attempt to get out of jail and tell his trial, Combs is again offering a $50 million bond and promising strict home detention. His attorneys writing in a brief to a federal appeal court judge, quote, since...
We're also going to talk about this manipulator-in-chief, this woman who many say, and she's been mentioned in some of these lawsuits, was one of the people really behind helping to allow this to keep going. And yes, Diddy will be appealing later this afternoon. We will be there with the updates to let you know if this new judge will let him out of jail. In the meanwhile, let's look at this place that he's in jail, this new home, this troubled Brooklyn place. Here is a picture. It's a high-rise. It is not getting good reviews. I mean, not that it should, but, you know, there should be basic human rights.
Inside the courtroom, the tension was palpable. Evidence stacked up against Diddy's son, with witness testimonies and explosive surveillance footage. As the prosecution laid out its case, it became clear the charges were serious, and the eerie implications would be life-altering. But was the verdict fair, or is this just another case where privilege meets a harsh justice system?
And this place has faced intense scrutiny amid a spat of vicious inmates, going after each other badly, complaints about dismal living conditions, including maggot-infested food, filthy cells, power outages. Apparently they go weeks without any sort of heat, which is, not good, especially as the cold rears its head. These apparent conditions were brought to the spotlight during the trial of Maxwell, I can't say the full thing, the notorious Madame of Jeffy, when her attorney ripped the facility for the reprehensible and utterly inappropriate facilities. She complained about using the bathroom, which was an open sewer drain, rats running around, rotten maggot-infested food, freezing temperatures for roughly a week when an electrical fire caused all the light and heatings to go out in the building. Apparently, violence-plagued federal lockup made headlines when it was hit with the claims that the staff had allegedly covered up a knifing at one point. It holds pretrial detainees as well as those serving short federal sentences. It holds about 1,700 inmates.
As the case unfolds, the reactions are mixed. Some have offered their support to Diddy, claiming he's the victim of a system targeting the wealthy. Others, however, are now questioning whether he used his position to get away with crimes for years. But no matter where the public stands, one thing is clear: Diddy is devastated. A man who built an empire now finds himself on the wrong side of the law, trying to protect his legacy while grappling with the reality of his son's future.
All right. So we're going to take a quick break. Again, I want to thank my guests, Elizabeth Vulai and Safa Robinson-Ferrer, for coming on. Thank you both so much. Really appreciate it. Great insight and breaking down our questions and also the questions from our viewers. Stay with us. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to get two more people on to break down some more things that are happening in this case. Stay with us here on Law and Crime. We'll be right back.
Kept behind bars after his arrest this week, and a judge denied him bail. In your opinion, how do you think he's adjusting to life in a federal detention center right now?
If Sean Combs is focusing on things he cannot control, he will have a miserable experience. When he can call home, when he can visit, the living conditions, exercising maybe an hour a day, showering a few hours a week, if he fixates on that, it is going to be miserable, and every day will feel like a year. On the other hand, if he can learn from those who have come before him and master the experience, my business partner served 26 consecutive years for a nonviolent crime, including 8 years in the penitentiary. He never complained. He focused on his family, trying to prove worthy of the love and support of his family.
Behind the glitz and glamour of Hollywood's elite, Diddy's infamous parties were the stuff of legend. But what was once seen as the epitome of celebrity excess has now become a focal point of investigation. The infamous freak-offs wild. Parties involving sex, drugs, and power are now central to the case. What was once celebrated by the public now faces scrutiny from the justice system.
What's going on, Jamie?
I don't know. There's a lot going on. A lot of rumors are flying.
The rumors are that Diddy was running some kind of Epstein-type deal where he was filming everybody, right?
That's the rumors. Yeah, I don't know that there's any proof for it.
Dude, when Homeland Security invade your house, you got problems with dudes with guns and body armor.
Someone said that they weren't there to take stuff. They were there to delete everything. The real people that were in there,
Oh, like that's funny. Oh, that's funny.
Sometimes you have to tell Diddy no.
Oh, man.
Bruh.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, man.
It's on Diddy Combs' alleged list of accomplices to be revealed soon. The names will shock you. Attorney says, whoa.
I think he's going to sing if I got invited to the white party, I'd have gone.
Especially if you didn't know.
Of course, no one knows. No one
right.
knew.
And then you don't know you're just a celebrity, and you know, oh, Jennifer Lopez is going to be there. Oh, Rick Ross is going to be there. Everyone's going to be there. That would be a cool place. I want to meet those people.
Fact.
There's just been a shocking revelation from federal authorities regarding a highly private and scandalous video involving none other than Jay-Z and Beyonce.
As the investigation continues, federal authorities are revealing more. Allegations of racketeering, forced sex trafficking, and conspiracy have rocked the Combs family. It's a case that no one saw coming, but one that now has the potential to change the celebrity world forever. But what did the authorities uncover during the raid? And who else might be implicated?
And before, I'm sure Diddy and his defense attorney were both left stunned, knowing that he'll now have to prepare for his trial behind bars as he wasn't given bail. What can you tell us about a high-profile celebrity like Diddy now having to prep for trial in a federal detention center?
I think it was the philosopher George Santayana that said those who don't understand history are doomed to repeat it. So we have these high-profile celebrities: Elizabeth Holmes, Sam Bankman-Fried, Robert Menendez, who was convicted at trial, tried to blame the conviction or the conduct on his sick wife. So we have those who have come before before us who continue to go down this path of blaming and excusing, never identifying with victims, or at least acknowledging they could have done anything wrong. And I would say, if that's what you want to do, cool, own it, and understand the consequences that follow. So there are probably enablers, lawyers, friends, and family telling him.
With the trial looming, Diddy's son now faces the daunting task of defending himself against these serious allegations. Legal experts suggest that while an appeal may be possible, the evidence against him is overwhelming. His defense team is working tirelessly, but will it be enough? And what's next for the Combs family as they prepare for the upcoming trial?
Or they may have something on him. Because they took things out of there. We may not have seen what they took, but they had bags and boxes of stuff that they took out of there. So he knows, he's getting a play-by-play of what's going on. And even back then, doing that City College, when he was fired from Uptown Records.
Inside Diddy's inner circle, many are now questioning the role they played in enabling this behavior. Was there a concerted effort to cover up the truth? And what about Diddy's right-hand woman, Christina Caron? Who is she, and how deep is her involvement? As more details come to light, it's clear that the web of secrecy goes far beyond just one person.
He was making statements about doing himself. He had that same look in his face.
Yeah, he looked worried, man. I'm not gonna lie, for a split second, man, I felt bad for him. For a split second, but yeah.
Like, everybody, I get all kind of hate mail, IGs, talking about that I'm trying to take a black man down. No. I went through every step you supposed to go through when you got a problem, you got a situation, you got an issue with a man.
From luxury jets to multi-million-dollar mansions, Diddy's empire was once the dream of every aspiring mogul. But now, his empire is under siege. With his son behind bars and the accusations mounting, the question remains, will Diddy's empire survive this? Can he rebuild his family's reputation? Or is this the final chapter in the Combs legacy?
You understand? I get in contact with him. Tried with mutual friends. Let's sit down and talk. What you did to Wolf's mother wasn't right, bruh. You don't talk to her like that. If Wolf was alive, he'd take your head off. You understand? Try to talk to him. People, when they start getting in this power, certain positions, have certain amount of money, they don't look back. Some of them don't look back and don't think they have to come back.
Despite everything, Diddy's legacy remains one of overcoming adversity and rising to the top. But with his family now under intense scrutiny, can he redeem himself? Will Diddy be able to rise above the scandal and rebuild? Or has his empire crumbled under the weight of his own actions?
To the people that helped him get to those positions. You understand? I don't care what nobody say. You understand? If somebody helps you and use their ability and their talents to help you get in position and get to certain places and do certain things, you come back. And you make sure things is all right. You don't disrespect people's mothers. You don't disrespect your friends that took their money.
The story of Diddy's son is a cautionary tale of wealth, privilege, and power gone wrong. As the Combs family braces for the future, the world is watching, holding its breath to see how this shocking drama will unfold. What do you think? Will Diddy's son find redemption, or will he serve his time behind bars? Drop your thoughts below and stay tuned for more updates.
To make sure you was all right when you was wrong, when you was messed up. You don't do that, brother. So by him doing the things that he did and taking the avenue that he took, he's suffering the consequences, and I don't feel bad for him at all. Because people was trying to talk to him.
As we draw closer to the end of this dramatic tale, let's take a moment to reflect on the man at the center of this storm, Diddy. From the early days of his rise in the hip-hop world to becoming one of the wealthiest men in entertainment, he built an empire based on power, control, and influence. But now, with everything he worked for crumbling, we have to ask, can Diddy rebuild? Is there redemption for someone who seemingly had it all, only to lose everything in the blink of an eye?
People was trying to tell him. You couldn't pull him by the coat and let him know anything. You understand? They messed up the game, brother. When you put that shit out with them, money, power, respect, it ain't never been like that.
Diddy's rise to fame was like a modern-day rags to riches story, captivating audiences with his musical genius and his unique sense of style. He wasn't just a rapper, he became a mogul, an entrepreneur who owned a piece of the hip-hop world. He built a brand that extended beyond music, fashion, media, even vodka and Ciroc. He became an icon, but now all of that is overshadowed by the legal battle of his son and the allegations against his family.
It ain't never been like that. You got your respect in the street. They gave you your power. They brought you your money. Totally different thing. He let that money, power, and respect go to his head, but he had it ass backwards.
Despite the scandals, Diddy's influence has always been undeniable. He mentored countless artists, helped create careers, and changed the landscape of the music industry. But the question remains, can someone who was once so adored by the ice-pumps public, so influential in Hollywood, come back from the abyss?
So do I care what happened? Nah. He got enough money to buy his way out of this. So we think.
So when you look at that video of him pacing around and he's looking worried, and you knowing him, do you think it's possible that he might commit suicide?
When you're a narcissist, there's always a possibility because you're suffering.
Redemption is a powerful word in Hollywood. It's often the final hope for those who have fallen from grace. Many celebrities, from Robert Downey Jr. to Justin Bieber, have shown that a fall from the highest peaks doesn't have to be permanent. But redemption doesn't come easy. It requires a deep reflection, a willingness to confront mistakes, and above all, a change in behavior.
But I don't think that he can see himself in a cage. I don't think he can see himself behind those bars in those type of situations. It's too many real dudes that dislike him. But then again, there's a lot of real dudes that need help. And him being behind bars.
For Diddy, the path to redemption may not be straightforward. His son's legal battles and the damage to the Combs name may make it difficult for him to salvage his reputation. However, the story of redemption isn't just about clearing one's name. It's about personal growth, rebuilding trust, and finding a way to restore the honor that has been lost.
So we are covering this live hearing that is happening downtown in federal court in Manhattan regarding Sean Diddy Combs. There was a hearing, short hearing between the prosecution, the defense, and the judge regarding evidence, regarding discovery in this case. And it seems it's progressing its way towards a May 5th, 2025 trial date. But I'm not going to talk about it myself. I want to bring on Elizabeth Milner, who is actually in that courthouse for us. Elizabeth, so good to see you. So two things for you. A, if you could briefly describe what the scene looked like, and more specifically, what did you observe of Sean Combs, who was in that courtroom? And B, what happened in court? What were the big takeaways?
Hollywood has always been a place of excess, a land of excess wealth, excess fame, and often excess corruption. For every success story in Hollywood, there are countless others who have fallen victim to the pressures of fame, power, and temptation. Diddy's story is just one of many, an example of how unchecked privilege can lead to destruction. The darker side of fame can often go unnoticed, hidden behind lavish parties and shiny red carpets. But when the mask slips, the world is forced to confront the truth.
Immediately, he smiled, he beamed up, he waved at at his two sons and just kind of gave them like kind of a little bit of, it's a good to see you type of feeling. That's what I was gathering from inside that courtroom. Now, again, I want to remind our viewers that when we're inside federal court, again, there's no cameras, which Jesse, I'm sure you have already mentioned that part. But, even for us journalists, with the exception of some who get a special permission of that, we just are relying on a notebook, a notepad, a pen, pencil in order to kind of take notes to see what is all going on. I can't even take my Apple Watch inside that courtroom. Whenever there's a hearing, I have to turn that in. I have to turn my laptop in. Of course, I have to turn my phone in. So we're kind of just watching everything that's going on. Now, when Christian and Justin came inside that courtroom, they were actually sitting just right across from me over on the left side of the gallery. So what I was seeing from both of his sons was a little bit of leg shaking, what I perceived to be a little prayer rifle. 5 months, meaning 5 more months that Diddy is still behind bars until we kind of see how this entire trial plays out. But for the most part, that's what I gathered from this really quick hearing.
And for Diddy, the consequences have been swift and severe. His empire, built on hard work and ambition, is now facing collapse. But it's not just his empire that's at risk. It's the reputation of a family that once seemed untouchable. Is Hollywood ready to hold its elite accountable? And will Diddy, like so many before him, face the harsh reality of his actions? And at the heart of this scandal is Diddy's son, who, much like his father, was once viewed as the future of the Combs legacy. His rise, however, is marred by serious accusations and a life-altering sentence.
Listen, Elizabeth, that is incredibly helpful, and also it's great that somebody drove by with a great taste in music as well. That's a side note, but I will say now we kind of know where this is going. I am still surprised this is headed towards a May trial date. We shall see what happens. Elizabeth Milner, thank you so much for going down to the courthouse, reporting back to us, and great reporting as always. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jesse.
That has left the world shocked. From a life of privilege and fame to the dark corridors of a federal detention center, his story is a tragic one that serves as a reminder of how quickly everything can change. Despite the allegations, Diddy's son is not without support. His family, particularly his father, stands behind him, though the public is divided. Can he find redemption? Can he reclaim his future? Or will he spend the rest of his life behind bars, a symbol of the dangers of unchecked privilege? The world's response to Diddy's son's trial has been nothing short of explosive. On social media, opinions are split. Some fans offer support, while others express outrage, feeling that this is yet another case of the rich and life.
So we are covering this live hearing that is happening downtown in federal court in Manhattan regarding Sean Diddy Combs. There was a hearing, short hearing between the prosecution, the defense, and the judge regarding evidence, regarding discovery in this case, and it seems it's progressing its way towards a May 5th, 2025 trial date, but I'm not going to talk about it myself. I want to bring on Elizabeth Milner, who is actually in that courthouse for us. Elizabeth, so good to see you. So 2 things for you. A, if you could briefly describe what the scene looked like, and more specifically, what did you observe of Sean Combs, who was in that courtroom? And B, what happened in court? What were the big takeaways?
Famous getting away with serious crimes. But the larger question is, does celebrity status still offer protection? Is the justice system truly blind when it comes to those at the top? Some argue that the charges are a byproduct of Diddy's fame, and that his son is merely paying the price for being born into a family with immense.
Hey, Jesse. Great to see you as always. Today was a little bit different in that I got to the courthouse got inside the courthouse, I should say, about 15 minutes before. Immediately, he smiled, he beamed up, he waved at at his 2 sons and just kind of gave them a little bit of, it's a good to see you type of feeling. That's what I was gathering from inside that courtroom. Now, again, I want to remind our viewers that when we're inside federal court, again, there's no cameras, which, Jesse, I'm sure you have already mentioned that part. But, even for us journalists, with the exception of some who get a special permission of that, we just are relying on a notebook, a notepad, a pen, a pencil in order to kind of take notes to see what is all going on. I can't even take my Apple Watch inside that courtroom. Whenever there's a hearing, I have to turn that in. I have to turn my laptop in. Of course, I have to turn my phone in. So we're kind of just watching everything that's going on. Now, when Christian and Justin came inside that courtroom, they were actually sitting just right across from me over on the left side of the gallery. So what I was seeing from both of his sons was a little bit of leg shaking, what I perceived to be a little prayer rifle. 5 months, meaning 5 more months that Diddy is still behind bars until we kind of see how this entire trial plays out. But for the most part, that's what I gathered from this really quick hearing.